The staff fell silent. Shocking reaction after Jin's public tirade. An unexpected moment happened so quickly. BTS's Jin, who is known for being calm and full of self-control, suddenly ranting in public to his own staff. What exactly happened? Is this an uncontrollable outburst of emotions? Or is there a deeper wound hidden all this time? The army was transfixed, the staff was silent, and now the whole world was waiting. Will Jin speak? Or will HYB try to bury him in silence? The staff fell silent. Shocking reaction after Jin's public tirade. What the army witnessed that day, not just an emotional outburst. It was a silent scream that finally exploded. No one expected. Even the fans who faithfully followed his every step did not prepare themselves for what happened that afternoon. In a seemingly ordinary atmosphere, a public schedule that initially gave no signs of being strange, BTS's Jin suddenly stopped his steps. His sight is sharp, his body is well built, and his voice burst in the air. Not laughter, not singing, but a voice full of anger directed at his own staff. Instantly, the room became quiet. Nothing's moving. Some of the soldiers present were even stunned with their eyes wide open. The cameras that were once directed to capture Jin's smile are now actually recording rare moments that almost no one believes. Jin raised his hand, pointing to one of the staff in a high tone, his words sounding clear. How many times have I told you about this? What exactly happened? Why did Jin, who had been known to be calm, choose to vent his anger in public, even in front of the army? This question hung in the air, shaking not only the fandom, but the entire Korean entertainment industry. Within minutes, short footage of the incident began circulating on social media. However, none of them came from official cameras. All came from the hands of the army, who did not expect that day they witnessed history that might change the world's perception of Jin. Is Jin tired? Is there any tension that has been hidden between him and the management? Or was this a deliberate act? A form of protest? A sign that something bigger is happening behind the scenes? It didn't take long before hashtags like #ProtectJin, #WhatHappenedToJin, and #HYBClarifyNow dominated trending topics in various countries. The video, although blurry and not very long, was enough to fuel speculation. One of the pieces that made the hearts of the army beat faster was when Jin, with his voice still trembling with emotion, said, "If this continues, I will talk to myself later." This sentence immediately gave rise to many interpretations. Is this a form of Jin's frustration with the treatment of HYB's staff or management? Does he feel that he is no longer heard? Even more surprising were the expressions of the surrounding staff. No one tried to stop him. No one looked down to apologize. They just freeze. Do they know that this has been buried by Jin for too long? Or are they under the same pressure? Are they afraid of the Jin, or are they afraid of something bigger? The question now is, why is Jin so angry? There is a theory that this incident is associated with the postponement of his long-rumored personal project. Some fans suspect that Jin may feel neglected in management's priorities, especially since the other members are also active in various solo activities. Is this his first form of resistance, and the only way to be heard is angry in public? Of course, the army is divided. Some felt sad and worried, fearing that the Jin would receive punishment or silencing, while others are proud that Jin finally dared to speak on his own behalf. One indisputable fact: there was no clarification of anything from HYB. Even after 3 days had passed, not a single official statement was released. Not from Jin, not from the staff, not from the agency. This silence actually makes everything even more gripping. Why shut up? What are they hiding? Jin himself seemed to disappear from the public radar. No posts, no live. Even his normally active interactions in the Weverse were suddenly interrupted. This is no ordinary genie. Is he being asked to be quiet? Are they facing consequences behind the scenes? Or designing a way to talk without being silenced? The most painful was when an army man uploaded a screenshot of a previous Weverse message, one that was almost forgotten. Jin once wrote, If I don't smile, you must be worried, right? Now, everyone is wondering, is her smile just a mask? The incident has been traumatic for fans who believe BTS, especially Jin, live in a supportive and healthy work environment. But what is seen in public is just an illusion. Is Jin trying to open the eyes of all of us to the dark side that the agency hides? It was rumored that Jin's tirade occurred due to a technical glitch in an event that was supposed to be very important to him, an event where he asked for something specifically, but was ignored. If so, then the anger of the Jin is not merely due to a one-time incident, but the accumulation of treatment that he considers unfair. Has this been happening for years? What exactly did Jin sacrifice in order to remain strong in front of all of us? That question haunted every ARMY that watched the short video. Even Jin's expression at the end of the video, as he took a deep breath and turned his face away, wasn't simply angry. That looks like someone finally gave up. Surrender to restraint. Give up patience. Surrender to silence now. All eyes are on one thing. Will the genie speak? Or is it, will he be forced to never bring it up again? The ARMY waited, waiting for the miracle that the genie will return, not just with a smile, but with the full courage to say what he had been holding back. And if that happens, if the genie really chooses to speak up, then the world must be prepared to hear the truth that can no longer be hidden, because that little moment, a public tirade, could have been the beginning of a great revolution behind seokjin's calm smile. And who would have thought that for the first time, not a song, not a concert, not a play, but it was the sound of his anger that made the world finally really listen to him. And as the night came to an end, when the entire internet was still smoldering by one brief incident that shook thousands of hearts, there was one feeling that enveloped many of the ARMY: fear of losing the genie they knew, because what they saw wasn't just an angry genie. But Jin is hurt. Jin Young has been holding back for too long. Jin Young has been silent all this time, but for the first time, could no longer bear the turmoil in his chest. No sorry came from his lips after that. No expression of guilt. Just a blank, deep look, as if to say, that's enough. And maybe that's enough. Maybe this is the limit of an idol's patience that has been formed to smile even though it is broken inside. Perhaps this is the result of years of being treated as if she were not a human being, but a product, one who had to keep shining, had to keep being cheerful, without ever really being asked, "Are you okay, Jin?" Now, one thing is certain. Jin is not okay, and even more suffocating is, why do we only realize it after he gets angry? Shortly after the video went viral, an unofficial statement emerged from an entertainment industry insider known to be close to HYB's environment. Through an account that was previously known to be quite accurate in leaking industry plans, he wrote one sentence that made the hearts of fans instantly scoffed. Jin has warned them many times. Warning about what? What about his busy schedule? About the stress she's going through? About unfair treatment of his personal projects? Or about feeling excluded from important decisions in the group? Whatever it was, the statement opened one big door that had been locked tightly. Doors about the possibility that the genie has voiced but ignored. And when someone as powerful as Jin, who is known for being patient, mature, and always taking care of the group's image, chooses to explode in public, it is not because his emotions are suddenly uncontrollable. That's because he's already tried all the other ways and failed. The question is now changed. Why isn't Jen angry? Except, what have they done to make Jin so angry? Suspicion after suspicion continues to rise. One of them, the most talked about in the international ARMY community, is about Jin's solo music project titled Echo. Many fans felt there was a huge gaffe in the handling of this project. The project, which was supposed to be Jin's landmark comeback, had not been heard from for months. Even when rumors of teaser videos and photo shoots were leaked, there was no official release from the agency, and now it all comes back to one point. Is Jin's public outburst directly related to the delay and sabotage of his project? There are clues that lead to it. One of the staff who appeared to be at the scene became known to the public as part of HYB's visual creative team, which is responsible for promotional design. Some observant fans noticed that Jin looked specifically at the person as he said, "I told you, That's not what I asked. Is it about costumes? About the shooting concept? Or more deeply, about how he wants to be treated as an artist who has a voice in his own art? Question after question continues to haunt. But what was most heartbreaking was the fact that no one answered. Jin disappeared from the public space, and HYB remained silent. Even BTS members who are usually active seem to refrain from discussing anything on social media. What the hell is going on? Are they forbidden to talk? Or is it, are you afraid to reveal something bigger? What makes everything even more emotional is the reappearance of one of Jin's old videos, which is now viral again. In the video, he laughs as he says, "If I get angry, why isn't anyone talking? Did they all agree not to interfere? Or did HYB give them a strict order not to add to the commotion?" And more than that, the question that is now burning in the minds of millions of fans: do the members also know the real reason for Jin's anger, but choose to remain silent in order to maintain the stability of the group? One big fanbase, known to have ties to longtime big hit staff, mentioned in a lengthy thread, Jin's been trying to resolve this internally since last month. But his request was denied. He didn't get an answer. He wasn't even allowed into the last meeting room. And that night, he could no longer hold it all. What meeting is meant? And why is Jin, one of the oldest and most respected members of BTS, not included? What exactly is hidden from the genie, the craziest issue going around, and surprisingly getting a lot of data support from fans, is that Genie has prepared a full concept for Echo's re-release in an emotional live acoustic version. A recording he made himself in his private studio with a senior Korean musician who is never mentioned to the media. However, the concept was rejected by HYB's promotion team on the grounds that it was not in accordance with the image strategy that was being drawn up. Whose image is being created? Jin, or the group as a whole? And when this news leaked, the army began to dig. Some noticed that Jin looked much more pumped up in March, right after he returned from a short visit to the studio where the producer worked. The face is bright, the upload is personal. But that all changed drastically the following week. He's not talking about music anymore. No more talking about personal projects. He even deleted one comment that previously read, "Can't wait to share something special." Something happened between those 2 points. And the night when Jin got angry, it was probably the culmination of a long fight that we didn't know about. But if this is true, why didn't HYB want Echo to be released the way Jin wanted? Some say that the new version of the song contains additional lyrics that are very personal. The lyrics are too honest, too obvious. It touches too much on sensitive issues about pressure, loss of control, even the loneliness of an idol who feels like he has no room to breathe. Echo, of my own voice / screaming in a soundless world. The phrase appeared in one of the leaked lyrics allegedly part of the new version of Echo. Is it just fanfiction? Or really part of the original song? Until now, no one knows. But if the lyrics are true, then we are all witnessing one of the most tragic chapters in the history of a great star. Jin is trying to fight to be himself, but is blocked by the system that is supposed to support him. And therein lies the real tragedy. Jin was not angry because of his ego. He is angry because of his love for his work. Because of his respect for the fans who have always believed in him. Because he knows that if he is silent, nothing will change. The question, again, is heartbreaking. How much more must he sacrifice for the world to hear his true voice? But what was most surprising was the appearance of a cryptic upload from a Twitter account belonging to one of the choreographers who had worked with BTS. He only wrote one short sentence, which was enough to make the ARMY community shudder. He was nagging not because he was tired, because he hurt someone he believed in. This sentence invites a very broad interpretation. Who is a trusted person? What is staff? What is management? Or, even more painful, is it one of the members? This suspicion became even stronger when fans noticed that Jin did not make eye contact with anyone after the incident. He just walked quickly through the studio corridor, past several staffs who were standing stiffly, and went out to his car without turning his head. Not even when called. Someone tried to record it from a distance and captured the moment when Jin wiped his face with his hands, as if wiping away tears. The next day, Jin disappeared, and oh word,
No uploades.
No official activity. The army is waiting.
Guess.
Wonder. But there was no answer. And in that silence, there is only one thing left. Worry. Because if Jin, who has always been a pillar of BTS's strength, feels betrayed, then what does all this mean? Is this the beginning of a breach of trust between Idol and his agency? Or is this the beginning of a bigger fight? More than that, if Jin does decide to reveal everything, what will happen to BTS? Are we ready to lose the togetherness that we have always considered eternal?